Exactly how I make 35K a month online teaching my skill in a weird, specific sub-niche. Let me show you. First of all, you want to get attention. This is key. Doesn't matter what you do, you need attention. You need the views, you need the followers, you need to build an audience. Now you can do that with a personal brand, you can do that faceless, you can do all kinds of things in 2025. The key thing is that you get the eyeballs. We need the eyeballs. We need to get the attention of people. That is absolutely the most important thing. There's countless ways to do that. We're not going to over that specific part in this video, but exactly what you want to do is study what works and then replicate it. There's no need to reinvent the wheel. You know what I mean? You can just look up for trends. You can look up for what works and then create content that works, replicate it with your own twist, and make it work for yourself, for your audience, for the people that you're trying to attract. Now, content reach in 2025 is purely based on the algorithm, of course. Followers don't matter anymore. This follower count is just credibility, really. But when you create content, you're not gonna necessarily have your followers see it. And this is very important. This is actually what can allow you to reach new people and expand your audience consistently. But this also means, and it's been like that for the past 2-3 years, so hopefully you've catched up to that at this point. This also means that content is at the forefront. If you make content that doesn't work, that the algorithm, that the platform doesn't like, you're never gonna win. No matter if you have 1 million subscribers, if you're starting from scratch, you have pretty much the same chances. And so you have to make content that every time work on its own. Not only that, of course, you want to find your sub-niche, you want to attract the right people. And this is actually the key that allowed me to build my coaching business. You see, what I did is I have an offer in the music space, right? I'm a guitar player, so I teach people how to play guitar, but it's not just that. Basically, what I did is I find my sub-niche. And so I don't just teach people how to play guitar, but I do that in a very weird, like very niche music genre. If I tell you the name, you don't even know what I'm talking about. I'll just say that it's super specific. And here's the thing, there's no such thing as too specific. You want to attract your ideal client, right? You don't need the views. You don't need the virality just for the sake of it. Of course you want the views, you want the attention, but it has to be the right attention. And so if you just go viral for the sake of it, that will do absolutely nothing for you. You want to get your content and your message in front of the right people. And then what you want to do, of course, is you want to create value and build trust. Now that will be with short form content, long form, absolutely preferable. But really the combo of these two together is where the magic happens, because you want to have the top of funnel content, and then your YouTube and your long form, that will be your middle and also bottom of funnel content. This is what actually converts people. Also, you want to provide value, but you don't want to give away the implementation. This is a mistake that a lot of people make. You know, when they hear give all your value away for free, absolutely, you want to do that, but you want to keep the implementation for yourself. Otherwise, your offer loses all the value, right? If you just give away everything, sure, you're providing value for free, but then you have to keep in mind that you're not going to provide as much value in your offer if you just give away everything. And so you want to work in a wow, not how fashion. What that means is you provide as much value as possible for free, of course, and then you sell the implementation. You sell the how, so you keep the how for yourself. KPIs, processes, systems, implementations. That will be only in your offer, and only the people that believe in you, that have the trust in you, and that are willing to pay you will get access to the how. And this is where the speed is. This is where people pay for speed, pay for implementation, and pay for the systems, so that what they do will actually work faster than everybody else who's just staying at top of funnel, just looking at your content without investing in you. So sure, there's no doubt, especially in saturated niches, the person that wins is the person who creates the most value for free, but you want to keep in mind that you can't sell the implementation if you give it away for free. And then, of course, you need to build trust. And this will be obviously based on your values, your content, and basically your messaging, right? So this is how I like to create content that generates trust. First of all, you want to define your ICP. You want to define your ideal client profile. This is absolutely key. If you miss this, everything else will fail. So you need to spend adequate time figuring out exactly what your ideal client is, what solution you provide to them, what are their problems, and also, most importantly, what are the key pain points, key limiting beliefs, key things that are holding them back, to achieve their goals, and how you can step in, help them, lend a hand, and basically provide the solution, provide the path so that they get to their goal. So you want to do that with a clear message framework, your unique mechanism, how you get results for them, your story, your struggle, and then your solution. You want to position yourself as the guide, not the hero. People are starting to hate the guru-like type of content, right? There's a rise of non-guru style content where there's basically people that share their story in a non-guru way. So you position yourself as a guide. You're the expert. Of course, you want to be the expert. You have to be the expert in your field. You have to be full confidence in what you do, your skills, what you do, how you help them. But you don't want to be a guru. You don't want to be too cocky, if that makes sense. There's a space for that. But what I see, especially in B2C or spaces where people really value your trust and not necessarily your charisma, you want to be able to put the trust and the values above your charisma. So yeah, you don't need fancy lifestyle. Well, always depends on a niche, but in general, you don't want to position yourself as just too high compared to the people that you want to help, because then there's no relatability, right? People are not going to relate to you in the same way, and you're not going to be able to guide them in the same way. And so with all these in mind, you want to create your content pillars. What are the things that are shifting? What are the things that are shifting the beliefs of the people that you attract to? What are the things that you can reframe that will help your audience get unstuck, right? What is the authority that you can show? What are the results that you can show? What is the proof that what you do works? How can you display the deeper understanding of their problems and the solutions that they can implement? Also, you want to be transparent. People are sick and tired, like I said earlier, of fake stuff. We are in a trust recession. People don't trust people anymore, especially on the internet. There's a lot of mistrust, really. So the more you can be honest, the more you can be raw, the more you can share your actual life experience, real things. People are resonating with that stuff. Like I said earlier, there's a rise for the non-guru type of content. And so relatability and staying at the same level of the people that you're trying to help will help you tremendously in return. And then of course, value. What kind of value can you provide for free, right? Teach high leverage strategies, not just surface level tips. You want to actually provide value. Because when you provide value to people for free, guess what happens? They're more willing to pay you, right? Because they understand, you display, you prove that you can help them. And so they will pay you in return. And now, here's the next step. You want to convert these people. Once you have the attention, once you've provided value to these people, then what you want to do is you want to turn your content into a lead gen machine. Instagram is absolutely fantastic for this. Probably seen this stuff a lot. Keywords tied to ManyChat or Go High Level automation, so that you generate DMs, you generate conversations, and then you can use those conversations to then book calls and have qualified appointments for your high ticket services. Now, of course, this works extremely well if you have a high ticket offer, But you can also use this for low ticket. You can actually automate this even more. When you have a low ticket, you can just create an automated funnel. I've seen a lot of people do that with ManyChat, with GoILevel. You can create all the automations, lead people to your low ticket offer. And since it's low ticket, there's a low barrier to entry, right? So you don't need calls. That's the beauty of it. But also you're gonna need a lot more volume to make it work. So it works if you have an audience. If you have a small audience, like in my case, you want to go for the high ticket, because it's easier to sell high ticket than it is to sell low ticket. You probably know this already. So what you want to do is you want to generate conversations. You want to provide a CTA, a call to action, always on your IG or YouTube that leads to a conversation. So you want to get people to DM you. Now, single-handedly, when I went from just the direct to VSL funnel to this added immediately 15 to 20K of revenue into the business. So this is single-handedly. If you're not doing this, you're literally leaving money on the table. If you don't have systems that are implemented and structured in a way for you to capture all the attention that you're getting and turn it into high quality conversations, well, you're absolutely missing out and leaving money on the table. What you want to do as well is obviously nurture these new leads. Remember, these are cold leads. Like, the intent is not super high. These are people that are just watching your Instagram content. You know, it's pretty casual. They haven't displayed a huge amount of intent, even though it's still a level of intent, right? So what we want to do at this point is you want to just nurture these people. You want to have an appointment setting process in place, and then you want to have middle and bottom of funnel content that will create even more value and create even more trust. A VSL works in an incredible way for this. So you want to make sure you have your value sales letter, as I like to call it, or video sales letter, and then once again provide even more value, provide even more trust for these people, and basically make sure that you can turn the attention into booked sales calls. And this, my friend, this is where the magic happens. Of course, you want to be able to learn how to sell. And if you're the founder, if this is your offer, you put your face on your brand, and you kind of do, you know, all this on your own, it shouldn't be too difficult for you to get a 30-40% close rate on your sales calls. Now, of course, the game is different when you start to think in hiring closers and hiring other people to do that. But to be honest, man, if you just want to make 20-30K a month with the skill that you're good at, and then still focus on that, you know, with your main occupation, and have it as a engine that propels and keeps in place your main skills, you can just close your own sales calls, right? Experience that 30%, maybe even 40% close rate if you're decent. And this is where the magic happens, because here you can sell 5K coaching program, no problem. You can sell a 8K coaching program, no problem. You can sell a 3K coaching program. And the only difference here is the deliverables, you know, how much valuable it is, what you teach, what's the ROI on what they spend. Obviously, if it's a non-ROI offer, it's probably going to be in the 3 to 5K range. If it is a high an ROI offer, 8 to 10K is absolutely doable. Now, personally, I am right here. I'm in between 3 and 5K, because obviously music is a non-ROI offer and it's a hobby. So if you're in a similar spot, you might have to price a little bit lower, but it's still freaking 3K per client upfront, 5K per client lifetime value. If you acquire this customer at a cost of, let's say, 100 to 500, like, and you turn that into 3K LTV, like, can you see how this can work, right? You put in, it's like a 6x ROI. It's crazy, right? Let's say, you know, let's be more realistic. Let's say you only collect 1.5K upfront, right? Worst case scenario, you don't get the full payments, you gotta pay in 2 splits. That's still 3x, meaning that for every dollar that you put in, you get 3 back, 1-to-3 ratio. This is powerful, this is scalable. You can get from 5 to 10K to 30K, 40K pretty easily with this. And then here's the other thing, the offer. Now, this is absolutely what will have the most impact in all this system. So you want to obviously leverage your current skill set, whatever it is that you're good at, that's going to be your offer. So that's going to be basically what you offer to people in terms of help, right? So you want to create a solution to a painful, important, urgent problem that people are facing, that your audience is facing. What is the single issue that your audience is facing right now that you can help them overcome? Think about this. Where were you 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 5 years ago, when you were struggling to acquire your skill? What were the pain points, the obstacles that got in the way, that felt so incredibly painful that just kept you stuck? Well, that is exactly what you should build your offer to. Sell to your past self. That's the easiest way to provide a high quality, high value solution to a market that is in pain. Because you'll know exactly how that feels, right? So you can relate exactly to those pain points of your audience. And then obviously what you want to do is you want to build an irresistible offer. So you want to have a clear return on investment, obviously a clear time frame for the delivery. You want to have a risk reversal so that it's even easier to sell. And obviously you want to have social proof. Now this, if you don't have testimonials, don't worry about it, you can still do it. You're going to be your testimonial. You know, if you manage to learn the skill that's valuable to other people, that's going to be your social proof. So you don't necessarily need clients. So with this, your offer is not just what you sell, right? It's basically a frame of a transformation, right? It's how you frame and how you deliver a specific transformation for your ideal client. And it has to be something that they deeply want, something that they deeply desire. And if you were the avatar, let's say 2-3 years ago, you know exactly what this is, right? Well, once you have that, you can then just create a high converting offer. You know exactly who you're serving and how you're doing it. You defined your ideal client profile, demographic, psychographics, you know, what they're facing, what they want to get, right? And how they tried things that they didn't work, right? So you want to focus on solving that problem. It has to be urgent. This might be difficult sometimes, but if you can, the more urgency you can create in the problem, in the solution, the better and more easier it's going to be to solve it. Of course, it has to be based on pain. Now, the number one thing, the number one fuel for people that want to change is pain. So people, they move away from pain more that they move towards their goal. So pain is actually more powerful than the goals. So the more you can focus on the pain points, and this can be through your content, right? You know, you can build your content based on the exact pain points of your audience, of your ICP, your ideal client profile, right? And then you build the transformation roadmap, and then you add the guarantee, risk reversal, and then that will reduce obviously the risk that they might feel, you know, when you ask them for 3, 4, 5K, 8K of their money. Now, the format of your offer is absolutely something that you can decide. And the only thing that matters is that you're not stuck in a one-on-one rat race where you're just trading all your time and you're just over-delivering for no reason. This is another thing that people mess up. If you over-deliver too much on one-on-one, trade too much of your time, you're actually not helping your clients. Because then what happens is you burn out on the delivery. You're not able to fuel your business with new clients because you're stuck on the one-on-ones all the time. And then guess what? You're not going to be able to provide as much value in the long run for your clients. So the best thing you can actually do is a hybrid program where you have a group coaching component, and you have a one-on-one only for the specifics of what you teach. You know, the last thing that you want is people just booking on your calendar for the sake of it, right? They show up and you're like, sure, how you doing? What should we work on today? Absolutely worst use of your time. It is the absolute worst thing you can do as a coach. So every one-on-one that is on your calendar has to have a specific purpose that your client needs. Think of it as an unstuck call for your client in specific key moments of the journey. So it is absolutely something that you don't want to just do all the time, but you frame it in a way that it's always there when they need it, so that it's anytime. And this is very appealing because the client then has no cap on them virtually, right? You know, if they hypothetically really need one-on-one time with you, you can give it to them, and it's not necessarily tied to the calendar, so it's more valuable this way. You frame it in a more valuable way. It's not like once a week or once every other week. It's anytime, right? But they're not going to book anytime because of course they'll have to put in the work, right? So they're going to be busy putting in the work, and then when actually the chance of getting unstuck actually happens, then you can have them on your calendar. But then for everything else, you have leverage with a group, cohort, or even evergreen program. You can have a done for you element depending on what you're selling, and this is where you can charge premium for it. This is where you can get easily 10, 12, 15K for your offer, right? Of course, you want to create a stack of different things that are valuable for your client, and that's going to be your core pillars of your program. And once you have everything in place, well then, this is what everything looks like. We have attention, we have value, we have conversion of that attention, we have our offer, and then we have our fulfillment. Now, this is a 30K a month coaching business in any niche. If I did it in that stupid, weird sub niche of guitar and music, you can literally do this in every niche. So you really have no excuse. Now, this is what the funnel looks like more in detail. We're gonna have a top of funnel attention, and that will be with Instagram. That can be also with YouTube. You wanna make sure that you're able to get a ton of attention, right? Of course, qualified attention, like we said at the beginning. Then we're gonna have obviously middle funnel content, like I showed you earlier. Reels are great for that. YouTube content is absolutely fantastic for this. You wanna have a YouTube channel where you actually provide value, and then you wanna convert these people. And this is where the appointment setting process is so important, right? We can do a separate training on this. We can do a separate video. But basically, all the attention has to go into a Calendly link, right? You saw a guitar course. So everything has to go into a Calendly link, right? One, you know, look at this, look at the shape of this, right? It's a funnel. So there's going to be one thing. The more this is pointy to one thing, the more you can just direct your attention to that and have the best results, right? And this is basically what I showed you earlier. So this is the outline. This is a 30K coaching business. Doesn't matter what you do, doesn't matter your skill. You're gonna be able to do it. If I did it, you can do it too. Now, if you need help in implementing all this together, if you need the systems, the processes to actually make it work, there's a link in the description. Maybe I can help. If not, totally fine. I'll see you next time.